Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and what if I told you that this USB cable had a Wi-Fi device built into it so that someone could remotely hack into your device and actually gain your passwords and entry to your device? Pretty scary stuff. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so the intro was a little bit of scaremongering, and to be honest with you, it is generally scaremongering. But this scaremongering is becoming a reality, which is really, really scary stuff. Now, I've been on a website recently from Sophos, which is basically a security-focused website, and they were discussing the OMG cable, which was kind of heard about in early February, March of this year, and is now pretty much ready to hit the mainstream, which is actually quite scary. Now, the OMG cable has been designed to essentially be used by Red Hat hackers to do penetration testing on devices. Now, it's primarily focused on Apple type devices, hence the Lightning connector. And the reason behind that was because actually this was the most difficult one to do. So they thought they'd start with the most difficult one. So if it works, proof of concept, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be really, really easy to kind of mass produce and then allow it to work on other devices, Android, USB, Type-C, all those kinds of things. So yeah, quite a scary thing. So essentially all of the information, all of the chips, all the firmware, all the software essentially is going to be housed into this end of the USB cable. So where you've got the actual circuitry in there, that is where they can actually add payloads and other types of malicious software. It's actually quite terrifying if you think about it. You imagine the amount of times that you go into work in the morning and you just say to someone, "Oh, can I borrow a charger please for my phone?" And you get this random USB cable. You don't know where it's come from. They probably don't even know where it's come from. So these are going to be something we're going to have to really watch out for in the coming months. So let's go over to the computer and we'll go onto the site and we'll go through a little bit more about the OMG cable. Pretty scary stuff. Okay, so here we are on Naked Security by Sophos. Obviously, some of you probably heard of Sophos before. They're quite a big player in the security and kind of prevention of malware, viruses, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is pretty much a trusted site as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, nakedsecurity.sophos.com if you want to visit it for yourself and check it out. I'll put links in the description below so you can check it out for yourself anyway. But here are OMG, the Lightning cable about to hit mass distribution. So this has been developed by a character called MG. OMG was the kind of cable created. This was originally, like I said, back in February. It was originally kind of seen in the wild. And now, a few months later, it looks like it's actually ready to be sold as a mainstream product. Now, again, this is designed to be sold to Red Hat companies, so penetration testers, security outfits, all that kind of thing. The kind of people that will come into a business or a workplace and they will do penetration testing on your network and your devices to see how open or how secure you actually are. So inside the actual cable itself, there is an embedded tiny Wi-Fi transceiver, as you can see they've written there, and it can basically operate as an access point or wireless client, and the victim plugs it into their computer, and if the attacker is within the radio distance, they can connect to the cable, and with a mobile app they can use it to manipulate that computer or device, which is pretty scary. Now, what I'm thinking immediately as I read this is that's okay because it's within radio distance, so Wi-Fi being Wi-Fi, you're looking at kind of a massive 300 feet away, which isn't a great deal if you're a hacker, unless you're in somewhere like a relatively congested area, like maybe for instance like a McDonald's or Starbucks, Costa Coffee, those kinds of things, restaurants, library even. Imagine these things getting into a library and all the people that go in and plug in their device into a library. That's pretty scary. And obviously schools, colleges, all that kind of stuff could be disastrous. But if they could actually inject additional software into this, which it looks like they can, they could actually allow some kind of network scanning, and then just by brute force manipulation trying to get Wi-Fi codes for the local routers and hack into the Wi-Fi. Once they've got that, they then become global. They can be accessed anywhere within the world that has a Wi-Fi or internet access, which is actually really, really scary. So you don't have to be necessarily worrying about the person in the next cubicle, but so much as the person in the next country or the next continent. So as MG says, he's been working on it as a negative profit project, and he spent months trying to get these tiny little integrated circuit boards into the ends of the Lightning cables. He gave away some prototypes of these at DEF CON in August in 2019, and now having pretty much perfected the performance of the cable and is ready for manufacturing, he is actually preparing to sell them through penetration testing hardware site Hack5, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. The product's come a long way, and with some work on the kinds of payload it can deliver, this is terrifying, it really is. So intercepting lock screen passwords is one thing that they've had a proof of concept. One of the most interesting is lock screen, so that's a Mac focus attack, which Macs generally tend to be less protected than their Windows counterparts, I would argue. People generally have the thing that Macs are virus proof or attack proof and all that kind of stuff, when in reality they're just as vulnerable as any other machine. It's just that because there's less of them in the market, they're less targeted, because obviously you want to target a larger, wider audience to get these things out there. So anyway, it runs a small terminal window, password lock in their screen when they look up from their phone if they've kind of been distracted or whatever. You can then go in and send the payload. Now, obviously, if this is working on a Wi-Fi area, so the person who is actually initiating this attack can be sat across from you, other side of the room, and they can see when you're distracted. So if they send a message to your phone, they can then know that you're distracted from your screen, run the payload on the screen so you don't notice it, and yeah, you're none the wiser. From then, they can run a second stage attack, which unlocks the machine when the user is away. So say for instance that user, once you've sent a text message saying, oh, can you meet me outside or whatever, they walk outside, and as soon as they walk away from the screen, you can get in and do whatever it is you want to do to it. Install other software, key loggers, all those kinds of things. Maybe the thing of dreams and science fiction movies, but it looks like it may be coming to a Starbucks near you anytime soon. So there's also an editor built into this as well, so they can create their own scripts. So when this does get sold on the market, potentially people can add things to this which it wasn't originally designed to do, which makes it into a lot darker area where this can go. And according to the report here, they appear to have cracked another problem, which is the USB enumeration. So normally when you plug in a USB device into your computer or some Mac or whatever it may be, you get the enumeration. So installing new hardware or new hardware found, or do you want to trust this device, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So they've managed to get around the USB enumeration. So as far as they're concerned, this is an entirely stealth device up until the point when the payload has been executed. So, yeah, what do you do? Well, obviously the thing to do is beware of cables that are going to be coming on the market which seem too good to be true. So if a cable is coming on the market and it's really cheap and it's getting a lot of hype, potentially it's a bad thing. Obviously do buy cables from trusted, reputable suppliers. So if you're buying cables, these could get distributed on places like Wish, Alibaba, DHgate, all those kinds of places. So we're going to have to really be careful where we find our USB cables for in the foreseeable future. Obviously another thing to do is keep your cables safe and mark them. So definitely get a Sharpie and write your initials on the cables, all that kind of stuff, or scratch some kind of identification into the cable. And obviously just be cautious if you're using someone else's cable and charger. Just be wary. Do you know that person? Do you kind of trust them? Essentially, it's going to make it to a point where we're all going to be a little bit scared of using anyone else's cables, which is quite a bizarre thing. Now, let's have a quick look at the Hack5 site. So this is the OMG cable. Like I say, it's coming soon, so you can sign up to find out when it is actually released. But look at it. It actually looks genuinely like the real deal, which is it's a pretty good clone, if you ask me. And for me personally, because of reviewing things like the AirPod clones and all that kinds of things, there's nothing to stop one of these manufacturers just putting a load of these cables in with some really, really cheap AirPods clones and getting a lot of people to buy them at a very, very quick rate. Especially if they reduce them, I don't know, $20 or whatever, $10 for a set of AirPods. You think you're getting yourself a bargain, but in reality, you're just leaving yourself wide open to be potentially hacked by these devices. Obviously, they do other devices for penetration testing as well, so if that's your thing, security, and you want to get some of these devices, then you can buy those already. If you want to keep an eye on the OMG cable, then you can sign up and be notified when it becomes live. So my advice really, obviously, keep an eye on your cables. Ideally, if you go to somewhere like Amazon and you can go through, get something like this, something brightly coloured, braided, so you know it is your cable, and it's unlikely, although not entirely impossible, that it's going to be completely safe. But again, this is a possibility with that other cable, the Hack5 cable. There's no reason why this can't be introduced to any type of cable, so I don't think any cable is going to be completely 100% risk-free. Maybe the ones generally straight from the Apple Store, possibly, but who knows? They could infiltrate the supply chain there somewhere. It is actually quite a bizarre theory, really, if you think about it. But anyway, so those are some options. So obviously a cable with your markings on, so you know it's safe and secure, all that kind of thing. For new cables, I guess we're just going to be taking a risk, but stock up on your cables now before this thing hits mass production, I would say. So there we go. There are some sci-fi-like tales from USB cables. It's very much kind of Avengers or James Bond, how this all works. But to be able to get that device into a USB cable, iPhones are just going to be the start of it. You can see this is going to be rolled out widespread eventually. Maybe not straight away, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but in the coming months, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about this. So anyway, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, then click on the subscribe button and the chime icon and you'll be notified when we release more videos. And let me know your comments. Put in the comment section, what do you think about this? Do you think this is going to become a major thing in the coming months, or do you think it's all going to be a flash in the pan? But anyway, let me know what you think, and we'll catch you again in the very next video. Thanks for watching.